Welcome to the Pesky Report. This is not, I don't know. Do we have an episode number for this? Because we're doing it in two parts. A little different, and I've confirmed that the vertical layout is not going to be a complete disaster. So we're good. We don't have to delete the Twitter feed. I'm Jordan, joined by Derrik, Jason, Hunter. Boys, how we doing tonight?
Much better now that I know it's not just my forehead.
That is true. That is true. We tried to throw together some different kind of layouts to see how it would look if the worst case scenario was. And I think the best of the bunch was actually the one that was just fixated on your forehead. You guys are just going to have to take my word for it. So a little bit of a special episode tonight. We're doing an expansion style draft. Jason and Derrik will be the drafters. As you guys can see, they're below me on the screen. It's a fun little exercise to kind of get through this slow patch of off season, and knowing our luck, there's going to be like a bevy of moves that happen during the stream, where we're going to have to do an emergency episode at some point. We'll cross that bridge when we inevitably get to it. But yeah, do you boys have anything you want to say before we go into the rules of it all, or just give the genesis of your idea? Like,
I think Jason and I, we can kind of get into a little bit very briefly, but we are very excited about this. It's something we were kind of just cooking up out of. Jason, it was your drive home from school. And we're just spitballing ideas. We started talking about, fantasy drafts and whatever. And we ended up landing on why don't we do an expansion draft? And ended up coming together and worked out pretty well. But it's something I think I can speak for both of us on the fact that we are extremely excited. I think me personally, a little bit nervous, just because, expansion draft rules, we'll get into them. I don't think either of us really know what's going to happen, in all honesty.
No. And MLB is inevitably going to expand in the next, at least CBA, maybe there'll be one or two teams announced. So, it was worth looking back to when MLB did expand and, looking at the rules and kind of, modernizing those rules to, fit this culture, this, young talent, this wave of young talent, I guess. And, we'll get in the rules shortly, but this is something that I could not be more excited for.
Yes. One thing I will mention, myself, I am the GM of the Utah Talons. Jason?
I am the GM of the Nashville Bandits.
So we got our two creative teams. Obviously, you can see the logos behind us. We'll actually be live tweeting on Twitter graphics for every player we pick. So Jordan's actually handling that. So shout out to Jordan on that. On top of being our de facto commissioner. So Jordan's got a lot on his plate.
Don't ignore Hunter.
I'm just here to look pretty.
No, Hunter's our draft analyst here.
Hunter's here because we needed a forehead if the worst case scenario format played out.
If everything fell apart.
Mine's kind of rough as well, so we're not.
Mine's always covered by a hat. And that was not going to change if we needed a forehead. That was not going to change.
Early show. We got Hunter. We got me with my. If we pull my hair up, it's kind of there. So.
Yeah, and then I got the beanie on indoors. No big deal. It's fine.
And then Jason's just short.
And then is that Drake May jersey at least?
It's a Mac Jones jersey with.
That is true. I can't see. I can see it. I can see.
Tape over
there we
it.
go. Okay.
I taped. Well, it's a Drake May jersey, but it may or may not have Jones taped over it.
Brutal.
I'm not going to pay for another jersey.
That's fair. That's fair. But everybody that is a Devers jersey owner that doesn't have his last name on the back is thrilled that it's now a Marcelo Meyer jersey. So we're cooking. I can't wait to put my green original Devers jersey on Facebook Marketplace because I cannot fit into that thing again. Although if I keep eating pizza every single Sunday, I'll be back in that jersey in no time. Anyway, shall we get cooking with the rules of this draft? All right. So I'll kick you guys to there. We will get the screen squared away. I'm a mess trying to keep track of there we go. I guess we don't need it to stay on the clock at the moment, but we will for the sake of getting it all squared away. So let me share my screen here for the rules. So the rules of this expansion draft, there's 2 rounds. We've got 25 total draft picks for our 2 GMs, 15 in round 1, 10 in round 2. So obviously do the math, multiply that by 2. 30 existing MLB teams protect 12 players from their 40-man roster, and the remaining 28 are eligible to be selected. And only guys on their 40-man roster are eligible for selection. So there will not be any sort of Leo DeVry snatching here in this expansion draft. Teams may lose up to or only 1 player per round, and then following the draft to get that 26th roster spot. Each of our GMs will be signing a free agent. We will get into that at the end, but that is basically the bare bones lay of the land, so sort of agreement as to how the rules are going to go for this expansion draft. This should be fun. Yeah, I don't know. Do we need to do our coin flip now? Or are we ready to get into this?
I'm ready, Jason. You
All
feeling
right.
ready?
I've been bored ready.
All right, who's making the call here? I'll put the screen up as well for this.
I'll leave it up to Jason.
Me?
Yeah, make
Tails.
Tails. It is Tails. So Jason, do you want the number 1 overall pick?
I'll take the number 1 pick.
All right, so we will slide Jason on over there to the on the clock spot. And
so we should also mention too, because Jason has the first pick in the first round, I will have the first pick in the second round.
Snake draft is how we are rolling here. Let me get everything squared away. And with that, I guess our draft is underway. So
let's go.
Yeah, so what will end up happening here, just to kind of, again, lay into the rules a little bit, these guys will text me, or they'll put a banner on the screen that'll say the pick is in. We'll play a little sound effect. So when you hear this, that means the pick is in, essentially. And then that'll be my cue to look at my phone, get the pick, announce it, and then Hunter and I will break it down while the other person goes on to the clock. We will talk with the GM and decide and get their kind of insight as to why they went the direction they went for that pick. So without further ado, let's begin. Derrik, you're muted.
I'll also add, when we text the pick to Jordan, whether Jason or I, when we text it to Jordan, that is locking in our pick.
Yes,
so,
that is, they cannot make any. And I guess to add one more rule, if a player signs while we're going here, they will just not be eligible to be the free agent that they pick at the end. Like we won't be reshuffling any protected players, which I guess now I should probably throw that onto the screen as well. Or maybe I'll wait till our first pick is announced to do that. So let me know when we've got a pick to discuss, and we shall begin. Hunter, did your Commanders end up winning, by the way?
Yes.
They did? Sweet.
Yeah, it was not a fun game to watch. It hasn't been a fun game to watch basically all year. But Josh Johnson, no offense to Josh Johnson, but having him at quarterback the last few games is just a really tough way to finish the season. You know, you'd think at this point I would learn to just not believe that the Commanders are going to be good for a while, but them getting to the NFC Championship game last year just for Josh Johnson to be the quarterback at the end of this year was a whiplash.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I mean, I guess we had to, as Patriots fans, we had to watch, Jacoby Brissett last year, so maybe We got our first pick to announce. Give me 1 sec to get that on to into our thread. This is going to be a little bit more time consuming than I thought as far as getting the graphic actually ready to pick. But with the first pick of the expansion draft, Jason, the Nashville Bandits select Wilyer Abreu of the Boston Red Sox. So Wilyer not eligible to be taken by Derrik, unfortunately jettisoned off of the protected list for the Red Sox, which will on cue get them added to the screen here. I'll put them in fully here. And yeah, so that's the American League for protected players. As you can see for the Red Sox, they're third there. It's a little bit congested a bit just to get American League and National League. I'll throw the National League up there at some point. But as you see, Roman Anthony, Marcelo Meyer, Christian Campbell, Garrett Crochet, Bayo, Whitlock, Contreras, Tolley, Early, Narvaez, Duran, and Cedon Rafael are the protected players for the Red Sox. So let me get that off the screen real quick. Hunter, your initial reaction to the first pick of the draft being Wilyer Abreu?
Unsurprising, we are a Red Sox podcast.
Yeah.
But also just this is something that we'll see as the draft goes on. Certain teams just have much better top of the line talent. And the Red Sox are one of those teams where they have a lot of, at the very least, intriguing young guys. People like Peyton Tolley, Connolly Early, Christian Campbell, who you have to like in an actual expansion draft, those guys are getting protected 100 times out of 100 times. And then when you get to the back there, that's when the tough decisions are going to be made of, this would be obviously not an ideal way, but a way for the Red Sox to lose an outfielder. Everybody keeps talking about the logjam. If there was an expansion draft, maybe that would just be their way of being like, all right, well, I guess we have to make a tough decision now. And Wilyer Abreu was on pace to be an all-star at one point last year. He's won 2 Gold Gloves already, 22 homers, 69 RBIs, a lot of really big moments. He looks phenomenal in right field. And if he didn't get that injury, there's a chance we're looking at a 30 home run season from him, and he's still 26 years old. So it makes sense. He's someone that you would be able to build your team. I don't want to say build your team around. It's not like he's going to be the superstar of superstars, but in an expansion draft, you're going to be hard pressed to get a guy this good, this young. Like it's such a fantastic combination in a expansion draft when pickings are really slim when it comes to like top tier talent.
For sure. And just as a reminder, that locks the Red Sox out for the rest of the first round. No, Derrik cannot select another member of the Boston Red Sox. So if you're waiting to see who the next Red Sox is going to be taken, you'll be waiting a little bit. Derrik did give me his pick. We'll get the sound effect in there, locking that pick in. And Derrik's pick, the Utah Talons select catcher Sean Murphy of the Atlanta Braves. So that is the first pick for Derrik, locking in a catcher. And now Jason is on the clock. Sean Murphy, it's tough in Atlanta, similar to the Red Sox situation with the outfield. The Braves have the reigning NL Rookie of the Year in Drake Baldwin, who, they don't have Marcell Ozuna clogging up the DH spot, but I would imagine they probably don't want Drake Baldwin DHing. Sean Murphy's too good of a defensive backstop to be the DH, not a good enough hitter to be a DH. But he, he's a contract, and that's somebody that is expendable in a draft like this. So Derrik, I'll bring you in. I'm sorry, Jason, you didn't get to talk about your pick, but I'll bring Derrik in. What's your thought process going Sean Murphy with your first overall selection?
I think the big thing here I'm looking for at a premium position, getting an elite defender in Sean Murphy, a guy who in the past has been an all-star, has had a big bat in the past. Obviously, the last couple of years, the bat has not been the same. Sub 200 here the last couple of years. But worst thing comes to worst, I'm getting an elite defender, a guy who knows how to manage a pitching staff. And yes, there's a contract. It's not as pricey as people think it is, especially for a guy who I know can start every day. $15 million a year, I am more than happy to pay that to a guy who, in my opinion, elite defensive catcher, and that is super valuable for me, especially considering potential young pitchers, maybe, or even veterans that I'm looking to maybe take an extra step forward. Having that guy behind the plate that I trust in, when there aren't a lot of catchers I really trusted in this draft, was crucial for me.
Yeah, Hunter, what are your thoughts on Sean Murphy as an early draft pick here?
Yeah, it's you're getting the veteran guy, the good defensive catcher, and in an expansion draft, you're probably going to have a lot of young pitchers. So it's good to have someone like Sean Murphy behind the plate who's going to help a lot of those guys grow and maybe become the pitchers that you hope that they can become.
Yeah, for sure. And Jason has hit me with his next pick. Let me get that queued up so we can get this show on the road here. So we got the pick is in here. Yes, Matt, we will get the big board on the screen momentarily. I'm still trying to figure out the most efficient way to do this. But all right, let me get here to the draft. So that locks in Jason's pick, which is Max Muncy of the Los Angeles Dodgers, corner infielder. Another dude who, I mean, like want to talk about which by the way, I should throw the NL protected players on the screen so you guys have a chance to look at them. Yeah, so the Dodgers are a team that's going to have a lot of good players exposed because they are the Los Angeles Dodgers, and that is unfortunately a byproduct of being an all-star team. Is you leave guys like Max Muncy exposed, although Muncy is a rental. He does play corner infield, so not the most valuable player on the field by any stretch of the imagination, but a ton of power. He's obviously won multiple rings, and he's dude who hits 30 home runs. So Jason prioritizing power, and that puts Derrik back on the clock. Let me swap him over there. And so Jason actually gets to talk about a draft pick. We'll kick it down to you, Jason. What's your thought process on drafting Max Muncy?
Yeah, a veteran who's won with the Dodgers multiple years, has a lot of good metrics still. Even though he is, up there in age, he's age 35, he's a vet. I think he's still one of the premier bats in our game. 2 seasons ago, he had 36 home runs. This past season had 19. Really bad defense at third, mid defense, which is kind of, I'm leaning towards putting him at first base. I think you have a good defensive metric there. Obviously, he's been blocked by guys like Freddie Freeman, so he can't play third, or he can't play first. He has to play a lot of third, but I think he's still valuable as a first baseman. And I know he's in a contract year, but he's still a very powerful bat. And in an expansion draft where the goal for this is to compete early on and to have success, he's a veteran who can complement some of these young guys that I'm willing to bring on, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
What do you think, Hunter?
Yeah, like Jason said, 2 years ago, 36 home runs. He also had 105 RBIs. Hasn't played as many games the last 2 years, so the offensive numbers are down a bit. But he's also improving in other ways. So like 2022, 196 batting average, 2023, 212, 2024, 232, 2025, 243. So even if the average is, or if the power's dipping a little bit, the average, the on base percentage have skyrocketed. And like in 2022, it was a 324 on base, 329. This year, it was all the way up to 376. So he's giving you a lot offensively. And the last 2 years, he's kind of played a little bit more sparingly due to injury / just the Dodgers being the Dodgers and having the most absurd rosters of all time. So this is someone who I think would benefit nicely from an expansion draft where all of a sudden he would get to go to a team where he's playing every day. I could see him being a guy who again gets to 30 plus home runs. And if the average can stay in the 240 plus range, that's not someone you would be upset about having in the middle of your order.
No, we got a ton of power on in Jason's lineup. We're talking probably 60 home runs between his first 2 picks, both from the left side as well. But Derrik has locked in his next pick, and with that, it is Jake Myers of the Houston Astros going to Derrik with his second selection. He locked that in on our big board here. I should probably put his position up there. He is an outfielder, but primarily center field with the Astros. He kind of broke out a little bit this year, and it's weird because it feels like the Astros aren't super in love with him, which you'd think, a good defensive center fielder with some power from the right side of the dish would be a little bit more valued by a team like the Astros, who are notoriously cheap. They don't get enough flack for being a cheap organization. They have no problem letting guys go. So you'd think cheap production in Jake Myers, they'd be all for protecting him. Alas, they do not, but he is who ends up getting taken by Derrik here. Sorry, Derrik, I see your text. What do you mean? Did I put the wrong team?
You put the wrong team for Muncy and Myers.
That is
in the thread.
Oops. Well, at least I put I'm learning here. I am learning here.
Hey, it's fine. It's early.
At least I didn't tweet that the Red Sox traded for Joe Ryan. So
hey, that is true. That is true. Hey, at least you got the right player, right? I mean, it could be worse.
Yeah, that's definitely. I mean, I did double check because he is protected by the A's. So when Max Muncy got taken by Jason, I was like, wait, okay, no. The other one was protected by the A's.
Yes.
So
also the other one you wouldn't be a first base / third baseman. Jason listed. Actually, I will just add. Funnily enough, I had Muncy listed as a primary third baseman / DH, and I would have DH'd him. I would have actually had him be my primary DH. But that's besides the point. I'll just on Jake Myers real quick. It's following a similar trend to Sean Murphy. Defense, anyone? Also, the bat did break out last year. 107 weighted runs created plus, hit 292 last year. Only 3 homers, not a ton of pops, swiped 16 bags, though. I think is going to be someone who's going to be electrifying defensively for this team. And in terms of, going up the middle defensively, big help for me personally. Look, I was looking at my roster, and first 2 guys I had on my board were Murphy and Myers, and I got both of them. I would have loved Max Muncy, would have loved Wilyer Abreu, but for what I'm trying to do right now with those 2 guys up the middle, was exactly what I wanted.
For sure. Hunter, you have any last thoughts on the?
Yeah, just I do think it's funny that it seems like Jason's team is very power centric and Derrik's clearly focusing more defensively.
Bring the t-shirts.
The bat really took off this year. Obviously, the power numbers dipped, but the average, the on-base percentage, the slugging percentage even technically did go up, mainly because the batting average went up so much. He stole a lot of bases. He doesn't strike out. It seems like a good guy to put near the top of your lineup or right at the bottom. I think he could be like a one hitter who gets on base for everybody, or he could be like the 9 who, there's the Alex Cora loves to say, like Cedar Rafael is the second leadoff guy. So you could kind of put Myers there. But either way, you're getting good defense from him. You're getting good defense from Sean Murphy. So yeah, Derrik's clearly got a plan here.
All right. And so we've got Jason has made his pick. Let me switch the banner up for that. And with that, Jason has selected. Whoops. Oh my goodness. We are having a nightmare here. Braxton Ashcraft of the Pittsburgh Pirates has been selected by Jason, and I have finally put the right graphic on Twitter. I promise you that this is the correct team. I swear. So Ashcraft last year, kind of a swingman role, 26 appearances, 8 starts, 69 2/3 innings, a 2.71 ERA, lights up the radar gun, up to 97 on his average velocity. As yes, Derrik is now on the clock. Thank you for switching that, because I'm not going to be I'm not going to be able to stay on top of that. And let me also fix this as well. Braxton Ashcraft, pencil him in. I should spell things correctly. That'd be really neat. I'm feeling the heat here. I think it feels like all the eyes are on the shit I'm doing, and even though it's not the case, but I'm crumbling under pressure. Crumbling under pressure. But the Pirates have a shit ton of pitching. It's very difficult to protect 9 arms. You got to protect some bats, and the Pirates definitely are emphasis on some bats. They only have some, and they've acquired 2 of them, and that's actually composes 2 of their 12 protected players are their 2 out. Actually, 3 of their 12 protected players are guys that they just recently acquired, I believe, right? Brandon Lau is on there. Ryan O'Hearn is on there. And what did Jake Mangum make the protected list? I don't remember. Let me double check that. Let's throw them up.
He did not.
Screen. He did not. So Jake Mangum, I guess, can be selected if your flavor of player is slapdick who doesn't have any power whatsoever. Not me drafting. Not me drafting. That's all I will say. But yeah, let me get that back up on the screen here. And all right, Jason, what's your thoughts behind selecting Braxton Ashcraft?
I mean, my biggest rationale here is, we've been taking position players, and I think it's one thing in this draft because a lot of teams are going to protect their young guys. That's why we protect. So, a guy who is 20, I think 26, he's going to be, is this his 27th season? But anyways, very young. Pirates have young pitching, and, he put up some promising numbers. 8 games started, put up a 2.71 ERA among 69 and 2/3 innings. Really like the stuff too. He showcases a nasty slider and 4-seam, and then an occasional curve and changeup, which I like. It's something that expansion draft teams would be all over. Young, controllable guys who are going to flash quality stuff, and I couldn't pass up him.
First pitcher off the board as well, so that's just to give an idea of kind of the arms that we are dealing with here. We're not going to be seeing the Paul Skeneses of the world getting selected. We're not going to be seeing Hunter Green get selected. But Braxton Ashcraft, still a very talented pitcher at that. And I do have Derrik's next pick here. I'll throw the sound effect up there. I got the graphic ready to go. And it's the right team again. So 2 in a row, I promise. Derrik's next pick is center fielder Parker Meadows of the Detroit Tigers, who looked like he was going to be kind of their everyday guy for a while. And then, 2025 wasn't the best year for him. Dealt with some injuries, dealt with some inconsistency, dealt with the resurrection of Javier Baez, all-star starter. I remind people to this day, makes me very upset, but he did start the all-star game as the center fielder for the American League. And that locks down the Detroit Tigers for the first round. What's your initial reaction to Parker Meadows getting selected here, Hunter?
Clearly Derrik is not too worried about offense. I'm sure he's got a plan in the future. But he is really, really attacking other aspects of the game. Obviously, mainly fielding. I'm intrigued. I'm assuming Jake Myers is playing right, Derrik, and you have
Platoon.
Meadows in center.
Platoon.
Okay. Oh,
Center
okay. Yeah,
platoon.
that makes sense.
All right, Alex Cora.
Well, no, I'm not going to lie.
First 3 picks are platooning outfielders.
To be fair, well, they're platooning, but they don't have to. But as of right now, the game plan is at worst platoon both of them. These are the 2 guys I set my eyes on in terms of I knew I wanted elite defense in center field. And these 2 guys, I was flipping a little bit back and forth, and I'm like, why don't I just get both of them? One hits righty, one hits lefty. Why not? You might think it's a little bit early for Parker Meadows, but I wanted to lock in the fact that I had Myers, I had Meadows, and I don't need a legitimate center fielder anymore, realistically. Could I take another one? Absolutely. But in terms of elite defensive center fielders, I am more than set. I mean, good luck trying to get a ball in the gap is all I'm going to say.
It's a good point.
And there's a little bit of power potential there as well. I will just mention that.
Good luck with run production at the bottom third of the order, though. My
if they're
initial
platooning,
reaction.
the only one of those.
Yes, you got a good point. That's a good point. I guess it's one of those wait and see picks. Not to steal a meme from Red Sox Twitter. Like you got you got your outfield platoon here. In a perfect world, we'll see. I mean, again, Jason, I knew that whoever was getting the first overall pick was taking Willier. I mean, that was kind of the worst kept secret of this draft.
And I mean, I told Jordan like a week ago I was taking Sean Murphy if I had the first pick.
Yeah. What when you guys, just for the future, when you text me the player, can you also text me the position they're under, just because you've got the folders for the players? I know that this one in particular, sorry not to air you out while we're in the middle of recording, but because I just want to make sure that I get the right go to the right position here when I am pulling graphics for the Twitter account. So Jason's next pick is ready to rock. Let me get that queued up on Twitter. Pick is in, and sound effect. And that Jason's next pick is Cody Clemens, second baseman of the Minnesota Twins. Cody, not Roger Clemens, but he did homer at Fenway with his dad in attendance. So that was a cool moment. Not for me as somebody that was there watching. Probably not for Hunter Dobbins either. He was the one pitching. but yeah, Cody Clemens is the next pick of this draft. So now Derrik goes back on the clock. And Jason, what's your thought process behind Cody Clemens here?
Yeah, I think someone who, he's going to play solid defense at second base. He was in the 86th percentile and outs above average. Someone who's going to pull the ball a lot. And, ideally, it's not like I don't know. Me and Derrik talked about ballpark dimensions, but like ideally, if it's Yankee Stadium, he's going to rake. But like Cody Clemens will get some more opportunities. And he's 29 years old and, someone who I like too. A lot of the under the hood metrics like him. There's a lot of red on his Savant page. So I'm very excited to see what he can do.
Yeah, Hunter, what are your thoughts on the Cody Clemens pick?
Maybe not 30 homers, but he's absolutely 20 plus. So the power trend continues. I do wonder if there's just a little bit of Jason wants Roger Clemens in the booth at some games going on here, and he's just like, this adds to the experience for fans of coming to the games, and it's like, oh, Roger Clemens might be at this game. But no, Cody Clemens, honestly, surprisingly good season last year after getting cut from the Phillies. I think he got cut, right? It wasn't a trade. I think it was just he just got DFA'd because I'm pretty sure the Twins just picked him up. But yeah, he started the year with the Phillies, did absolutely nothing for a couple weeks, and then ended up being a major part of the Twins for basically the rest of the year. So you're getting, like Jason said, good defense at second, a decent amount of pop in the bat, and someone who's still in his prime. He's not, you're not taking a 34-year-old here, which is good, because with Max Muncy near the end of his career, he's bringing in a power bat who maybe still hasn't hit the peak of what he can do.
Yeah, and we're talking similar problems here with. We got the Alex Cora platoon on Derrik's side, and then we've got the full-on lefty onslaught of power bats on Jason's side. They did not tell me, but I am under the impression now that their free agent, they're foregoing signing a player, and they're both going to try and lure Alex Cora from the Red Sox to manage their team. With the platoon.
If I want a manager, I'm taking Chad Tracy.
All right.
Shout out.
All right.
Shout out Chad Tracy.
Giving him his MLB opportunity.
The fact that he's not a big league manager is kind of shocking. I will just say that.
We did talk about it with Mike Antonellis, that if Alex Cora does end up in the front office, that Chad Tracy makes the logical sense as the next manager of the Red Sox. But that is at least one more year. Well, 2027. So 2 more seasons of 2 more seasons of Alex Cora as the manager. And with that, we've got our first reliever off the board, as Derrik has selected Camilo Doval from the New York Yankees. he was really bad for the Yankees last year, but he is a stuffed darling. Dude is an absolute freak when it comes to just the movement on his pitches. Like, to be honest, he's nasty. He's deceptive delivery. I'm not going to say the F word, but he is a lot of that as well. But command does leave him from time to time. But ultimately, again, when we're talking relievers among the upper echelon, if we're just talking sheer stuff, as now we kick Jason back to the driver's seat for his next pick. But Hunter, what are your thoughts on Camilo Doval?
This is going to age me a little bit because I'm the oldest one here. But if anyone remembers when I was in college still, and the Eagles had their whole, like, they brought in Vince Young, and even though he was the backup quarterback, he was talking about how they were a super team, and then the Eagles were like very mediocre that year. And that's kind of, I feel like the curse that happened to the Yankees. Everybody talked about this like super bullpen after the trade deadline, and then they all just kind of sucked. But outside of that, 2.5 month stretch with the Yankees, Duvall was fantastic with the Giants last year. Struggled a little bit the year before that, but outside of that 2 month stretch and then 2024, he's been phenomenal throughout his entire career. He, like you said, just disgusting stuff. He can absolutely be your team's closer. He had 39 saves back in 2023. So Derrik is bringing in a guy who knows who else he's drafting the rest of the way, but very strong chance that Duvall is his team's closer.
Yeah, I'm very shocked to see that the Rockies are still without a player being poached. But like that's another element of this draft. The Rockies are so devoid of talent that wouldn't you want to be aggressive and take the hypothetically best Rocky available?
Well, again, the thing is though, it's not like if you take a Rocky in the first round, the other person has to take one in the second round because there are only 20 picks in the second round.
Mm-hmm.
So in some ways, yes. In some ways, no. I think it just depends on how much you like the player.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, again,
I was banking on taking Seth Halverson from the Rockies, and I realized like 10 minutes, not even 10 minutes before we went live, oh crap, he's protected, and I had to change my Rocky strategy.
That's a very, again, we're talking about a guy who had an ERA over 5 last year, but he throws 100. And he's got like 5 years of team control.
That's not similar to Duvall, right? Those 100.
Yeah, it's and Duvall obviously also has the track record. Yeah, has the.
He's also shockingly only 28. Like I will just mention that because like when I realized he was only 28, I was like, what? I felt like he was like definitely 30. So
he still got 2 years of team control. So you got 3 years of team control. He's one of those super 2 arbitration guys where he gets 4 years of arb, it looks like. And he's optionable. Not that necessarily matters, but on the topic of the Yankees super pen, among the contingent of relievers they brought in was Jake Bird last year, and he did get optioned within like a week. So just to add a little bit of hilarity to the super pen thing. But yes, Jason has locked in his next pick. Play the sound effect. And it is Michael Wacha. So going complete opposite end of the spectrum from Braxton Ashcraft to Michael Wacha, going from the swingman young right-hander to the veteran, the crafty right-hander. We'll kick Derrik back into the on the clock seat. Hunter, what are your thoughts on Michael Wacha?
Boston Red Sox legend Michael Wacha. Correct yourself. But
that is true.
Just he's been a very solid pitcher for the last 4 seasons. Literally since he went to the Red Sox in 2023. He had some good years before that too, but just he's not going to give you anything super flashy. Kind of like you said, like it's 2 ends of the spectrum there. You're not going to get this overpowering guy who's going to throw 7 shutout innings with 14 strikeouts, but he's going to limit runs. He can eat some innings. He'll limit the walks. So you're getting consistency and a good veteran arm for your rotation, which is very important, especially in something like an expansion draft where, again, you're probably going to be getting a lot of younger guys. It's good to have some of the older guys who you know what you're going to get, because a lot of these younger guys in these drafts are going to be more volatile when it comes to outcome. It could be a fantastic season. It could be a 5 ERA and man, this looks lost. So having a guy who every 5 days, you know, is going to go out there and give you 5+ decent innings is extremely underrated when building a team.
Yeah, for me, Michael Wacha, it's like for me when he left the Red Sox, it was like, okay, yeah, he was one of those perfect, like 1 year, like thank you for your service, good luck. We're expecting the regression to hit. It never hit for him. Like he's still a good pitcher. It's not like you said, they're not the most dominant looking every time out, but he knows how to get guys out, and that's not something that that's something that's learned experience. You don't just show up to the big leagues knowing how to get guys out. You show up to the big leagues typically because you have the stuff to just kind of let it rip and get guys out because you're so nasty. And Wacha was like that when he came up with the Cardinals, but then he had the injuries, his stuff diminished a bit. Then he had to kind of tap into the mental aspect of getting hitters out, and he has really turned into a very good middle of the rotation starter on a pretty good Royals pitching staff. I mean, they're not necessarily the best team in the world, but they churn out pretty good arms every year. So, Jason, what are your thoughts on Michael Wacha and your selection there?
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. Veteran guy. He averages like 30 starts in the past 2 years. You know, not gonna wow you, but like he's a veteran where he'll get a lot of his values through innings and quality innings too. Like he's had a sub-3 ERA for the past 3 seasons. You know, some of the best off-speed stuff in the game. Very excited. Above 165 innings pitched the past 2 years. Whip about 1.2. Not, like I said, not going to wow you, but absolutely someone that I love for an expansion draft.
Yeah, he's definitely a talented arm. He's up there. I mean, you're the one that's taken the 2 starters so far, so your pitching staff starting to round into form. Derrick's still rocking with just Camilo Doval. Maybe he's going 100% bullpen games. That would be fun. And then his manager is actually Kevin Cash, where he's just rocking. Or no, he'd get Joe Madden to manage this team. He would love to manage a team of all relievers, if we're being honest. That would be interesting. But yeah. Man, remember that Michael Wacha start against the Angels where he threw like 91 pitches but struck out 10? That was peak 2022 Red Sox.
I don't remember that. I'm focused on my hatred for Joe Madden. I couldn't stand him as manager.
Not a Joe Madden guy.
I thought he was he almost blew the World Series for the Cubs. They won that World Series in spite of him.
Why you say that?
Just his mismanagement of so many things. I forget what he did with the bullpen at the end. Oh, what did he do? I don't remember. But I had my best friend growing up is a Cubs fan, and I remember like fervently texting him like, dude, why is Joe Madden trying to ruin this for you guys? What did he do in the Game 7? I have to like Google Game 7 Cubs.
I don't know, but he's one of those guys.
I think that's what he did. Didn't he have? He tried to make Chapman pitch 2 innings. He put Chapman out there when he didn't need to.
And then Rajai Davis,
it was one of those like cocky, like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah, he went. I don't remember who started that game for the Cubs, but then Lester came in relief. I remember that.
It was Kyle Hendricks for 4 2/3, John Lester for 3, Aroldis Chapman for 1 1/3. He gave up 2 runs on 3 hits. CJ Edwards for 2/3 of an inning. He gave up a run, and then Mike Montgomery got the save in 1/3 of an inning.
Mike Montgomery getting the save with Michael Martinez being the last out of a World Series game. What a absolute travesty that ended up being. But okay, so
Derek Crisp was on that team. I don't remember.
Yeah, I remember. Didn't Coco Crisp hit a home run against the Red Sox in that in that LDS. I'm pretty sure he homered. I want to see off Pomeranz.
That's awesome. He
I
went
think
2
he
for 4
homered
in this game.
at Fenway. That's really upsetting, but okay. So Derrik did make his
1 for 2 with a homer on 10-10 against the Red Sox.
That's so annoying. So annoying. I hate that I remember that. But so Derrick's next pick is Garrett Clevenger of the Tampa Bay Rays. So I did not know that was going to be his next pick. So right now we're still on bullpen game watch for Derrick's team because he's drafted 2 pitchers and both of them are relievers. Now, Derrik, just out of curiosity, you are aware that you just drafted a lefty reliever that gave up a home run to Jarren Duran in the big 2025, right?
That is true. However, I have faith in Clevenger. I felt like getting a guy who, in my opinion, is one of the better lefty relievers on the board. And in a team in Tampa where there wasn't a ton I was comfortable with taking, especially considering they traded away a couple players who I might have been interested in. I felt like Clevenger. It's funny enough, I actually forgot to make a graphic for him. That's why my pick took so long. But he was actually number 1 on my board for Tampa, but I forgot to put him on my relief pitcher list. So I was going through the teams. So I'm like, oh, Clevenger's there. Also, too, you kind of look, he's got a lot of red on his baseball savant page. That's a fun one. He is 31, right? He's not the youngest. He's not a spring chicken, but he's also a reliever. A little bit of a, 3/4 slot arm angle, really good slider. I think he's someone who, is going to be really, really tough for. He's actually really tough against righties with his slider, but even he's still tough against lefties as well. He does a sweeper more against lefties, but he's tough, honestly, against both sides.
He is very talented. I am curious if this guy that came to my mind is somebody that might be drafted later. I won't say it out loud, obviously, because that'd be silly. But I have a general idea of who you may have been uttering about momentarily. There, Derrik. What are your thoughts on Garrett Clevenger being selected here, Hunter?
Obviously, very good left-handed reliever. Phenomenal 2025 season. I'm curious how he'll do outside of the Tampa. I don't even want to call it a pitching lab. The Tampa black magic of pitching, because
he was also at a minor league ballpark last year. He was also in a minor league ballpark last year that was very hitter friendly.
That's very fair.
Yeah, ask Jarren Duran.
As much as I love Junior Caminero, ask all the home runs he hit.
That's
true. We can talk about Derrik not having starters yet. We could talk about the offense not having a ton of pop, but it's going to be very hard for people to get on base against him with the defense that he has, and now with 2 very elite back end relievers. So at this point, if Derrik gets to a game in the 8th inning with the lead, it's hard to see him blowing that lead. So he's got a good foot up at that point.
Yeah, for sure. And it looks like Jason has made his next pick. Let me get that queued up real quick. Pick is in. Play the damn sound. And Derrick's next pick is left-handed pitcher Jacob Lopez of the Sacramento Athletics.
Jason's next pick.
Who did I say?
My name. You said my
bad.
name.
My bad. I accidentally clicked on the tab and was dragging it all over my screen, and it was messing with my head. Jason's pick is Jacob Lopez of the Athletics. Let me pull up his page real quick. The left-hander last year had a 4.08 ERA, made 17 starts for the A's, and the 4.08 ERA is pretty damn good when we're talking in the context of minor league ballparks. It was not easy to pitch for the Athletics last year, and Jacob Lopez did so better than, their free agent acquisition of Luis Severino, better than their trade acquisition of Jeffrey Springs, but alas, now he belongs to the Nashville Bandits as part of our expansion draft. Let me swap them on the screen here. Jason, your thoughts on Jacob Lopez?
Yeah, theme of young pitching. I like him a lot. I like the metrics he's got. Surprisingly reverse splits when it comes to ballpark, but my ballpark is very friendly. I think the rules, I guess, on the GM. So, but there are a lot of good metrics that he'll flash good slider. He'll also flash solid breaking stuff too. I think definitely his bread and butter is his fastball and slider, and I'm very excited for him. Hitters only hit $169 off his fastball this year, albeit also expected slugging of 348. So pretty good fastball stuff, and he's only 27. So the sky's the limit with him. I'm excited.
What are your thoughts, Hunter?
He's now has two really intriguing pitchers on the younger side. It's not like I'm not saying they're 23, but I think they're 26 and 27. So a lot of again, this goes back to the Michael Wacha pick I did that ends up looking like an even better pick now because he's got another guy who you don't exactly know what you're going to get with him, but there's very good upside. Last year, by far the most innings he had thrown in the season. He threw 12 and a third in 2023, 10 and a third in 2024, and then 92 and 2/3 last year. So you're still very early in his major league career. There's still like a couple varying outcomes that could happen with Jacob Lopez, but there's a very glaring upside. So you're getting a lot of I don't know how to word it, but like you're getting a lot of different outcomes between him and Ashcraft, and you're getting Michael Wacha in the middle of them, kind of just to even things out a little bit. So definitely could go either way, but it's really hard to not like what Jacob Lopez showed you last year. And like you said, pitching in a minor league ballpark hurts the numbers a little bit. So that goes towards his favor as well. Well, barring wherever Jason's playing, who knows?
Yeah, wherever in Nashville Jason is sticking his roster. College of the Canyons is where Jacob Lopez went. That I just learned that is a college, so that's why I felt the need to share that. There are apparently 6 major leaguers that went to that school. The only other one from this century is Dana Eveland, who, if I'm not mistaken, was a Red Sox at one point. I am mistaken. He was not a Red Sox at any point. But yeah. Also an Athletic though at one point. So I guess that's one thing that he shares in common with Jacob Lopez, both former Athletics that went to the College of the Canyons. Anyway. Okay. The sound wasn't playing for me. I thought my Wi-Fi had a meltdown. It might have had a meltdown anyway.
It did play.
It did play. All right, we're good. All right. So Derrick's next pick is Ryan Helsley of the Baltimore Orioles. Derrik has decided that Ryan Helsley is not allowed to play for the Orioles, despite signing a 2-year deal with him this offseason.
Eat crap. Oh, well.
Hey.
Eat crap, Baltimore.
I mean, with the offseason the Orioles have had spending money, I don't know if they necessarily are entirely against now shedding the Helsley contract to go and get potentially another arm in free agency or another bat or whatever it may be. But yeah, Ryan Helsley.
Rate, they're going to get rid of Helsley, sign Kyle Tucker.
Yeah, they're like, you know what? Why not? Let's get Helsley.
Hell, they might even get Bregman while they're at it.
Are you of the mindset, because I know that this was reported when he was a free agent, Ryan Helsley getting stretched out as a starter? You don't have any starters yet.
Absolutely
you do not have any starters yet.
Absolutely not. Not starting.
Just saying.
Jason did when we were discussing it, because we were discussing like how would we manage like if we want to shift someone from like reliever to starter. And I said like use common sense, but it's also up to you at the end of the day. Because Jason specifically brought up Helsley, but in the back of my head, I was always planning on keeping him in the bullpen.
Fair enough. What are your?
The bullpen, my bullpen right now, Duvall, Clevinger, and Helsley. I like that trio a lot.
I'm very excited to see who your first actual like starter is going to be. Like
I already know
like
who
it's
it is too.
like it's already becoming a bit. Well, now I hope that Jason takes him so that way we can prolong the stretch of picks where you don't get a starter.
Maybe, but I don't know if Jason can take him.
He could. You never know. You never know. What are your thoughts on the Helsley pick, Hunter?
Yeah, this does feel like a bit at this point, but I mean, the bullpen's phenomenal. Like I mentioned last pick, how if you get to the 8th inning, now it's if you get to the 7th inning, good luck beating Derrick's team if they have even a 1-0 lead, because he's now got Helsley. He's got the ridiculous trio in the back of his bullpen, and with the defense, you're not going to expect too many blunders. But yeah, there are some big things he's going to have to figure out in the next couple picks here, because he's now got 3 relievers, a platoon in the outfield, and a catcher. So he's gonna need to figure out some starters at some point. But the bullpen's disgusting.
Yeah, getting to the 7th inning with a lead is dangerous against Derrick's team, or trailing getting into the 7th inning against Derrick's team is dangerous. But right now, you don't have a starter to face, and you don't have a whole lot of offense to face. I'm very very curious to see how this whole thing actually turns out in the end. But with that, we go on to Jason's next pick, which is his first reliever, Phil Maton of the Chicago Cubs. Maton just got signed by the Cubs, effectively replacing Red Sox legend Brad Keller in the on the depth chart. But he last year 2.79 ERA across 2 teams. He was with the Cardinals to open the year, had a 2.35 ERA with them in 40 appearances, then went to Texas. Was a little bit worse for them, but still a 3.52 ERA, 12.9 Ks per 9. It's crazy because this dude always has good numbers, but I swear every time I watch him pitch, he's giving up the most earth-shattering, back-breaking monster home run that I've ever seen. So, Jason, if you get a lead late and Phil Maton comes in, tell me to shield my eyes so you can preserve your lead.
I'll also tell you good luck, because he has the best curveball in the game, probably one of the best. Hitters are hitting $136 against his curveball, unhittable. Not my closer, but I think I'm very excited to see what he can do on my team. He really figured things out in Chicago, like every pitcher did, which was insane. If you like Brad Keller, Drew Pomeranz, there are a bunch of guys who this past year for Chicago, Brooks Kriske even made it in Chicago. He succeeded, but I'm excited, and to quote someone I know, he's Meatball Maton. No, not on my team. He doesn't get that nickname because he'll be striking guys out. Unless
Jordan Leandry is watching him pitch, in which case he is very much Meatball Maton. Oh my goodness, the pick is in already. Give me a sec. Hunter, give me your thoughts on Maton while I get everything queued up.
My first thought after looking at his stats, I did not realize he's been on this many teams. He's been passed around quite a bit in the league, but he's been fantastic basically everywhere he's gone. Last year was ridiculously good for him. And yeah, that's a good guy to get for Jason to counter what Derrick's been doing in his bullpen. Yeah, he's now got his first legitimate arm out of that bullpen.
For sure. And then, okay, so I've got Derrick's next pick queued up. And with that, it is shortstop Joey Ortiz of the Milwaukee Brewers. He gets traded for Corbin Burns, has a couple of years with the Brewers, and then he gets taken in the expansion draft. Sorry, my guy, you're getting thrown all over the place. But yeah, he ends up being Derrick's shortstop. And I'm gonna kick it right to you, Derrik, because I genuinely I'm just curious to see how the brain is working here. Because Joey Ortiz is another dude he's not a bad hitter, but he's not a great hitter. He's definitely a defense first guy. And like you're clearly prioritizing defense, but I'm just curious where are the bats, my guy? Where are they?
They will be coming. I'll just speak from this example here. Yeah, has anyone seen David Hamilton play shortstop? Has anyone seen how that's turned out? Right? Has anyone seen what the Red Sox fundamentals have looked like? You know what my team's not going to struggle with? Fundamentals. My team will not lose games because of fundamental mistakes. Because of that. My team is going to be fundamentally sound, defense, speed. Gonna add some bats as well. Can't not have bats. But once again, similar to the Sean Murphy pick, similar to Myers and Meadows, up the middle defense, I am very much prioritizing that. At the catcher spot, I was prioritizing at center field, and I'm now prioritizing that at shortstop, getting who, in my opinion, is the best shortstop on the board, because there aren't many shortstops on the board. Let's be completely honest. There really aren't any shortstops on the board.
Yeah, looking at your graphics for the position, you are very much correct. There's not a whole lot to choose from. What are your thoughts on Joey Ortiz, Hunter?
Yeah, it's more of the same from Derrik. We're getting more fantastic defense and more questions on offense. Sub 600 OPS last year, but there's been flashes from Ortiz. He had a 726 OPS in 2024. So like there is a place for him to go offensively. Like it's not like we've only seen really bad offense from him. We're a year removed from a solid offensive season, and meanwhile he is getting phenomenal defense at shortstop. And we keep kind of parroting the same thing every pick, but it continues this trend for Derrik where you are not going to have to worry about the fundamentals. You're going to get elite defense from his team. So still wondering where the offense is coming from. I know he said it's coming in a bit, but in the meantime, he does not have to worry about his defense giving away games, which is, as Red Sox fans, something we have seen way too often over the last 4 or 5 seasons.
Yeah, that is definitely true. It is definitely true that the Red Sox have given away a lot of games with their defense.
Good to see Derrik's fan trauma getting put into his team building.
I'm not gonna lie, this wasn't even trauma. It was just the top example that popped into my head about defense costing teams games.
And Joey Ortiz had 12 outs above average at short last year. I mean, he was a better third baseman in 2024, had 8 defensive runs saved and 11 outs above average there versus -2 defensive runs saved and 12 outs above average at short in 2025. So depending on the metric you like, I guess you could say he's a better shortstop, but I mean, he's got some positional versatility. He's got some power. I mean, it diminished a little bit in 2025, but he had 11 home runs in 2024, had a 105 WRC plus, 3 wins above replacement. And you at least know the glove is going to play. Now, what about the fundamental act of scoring runs, my friend? We will.
Hey, we'll find that out soon.
We will. So Jason has made his next pick, and with that, it is Emilio Pagan of the Cincinnati Reds. He is also a graduate of the school of Jordan Leandry watches him give up home runs. So that is the College of the Canyons of this draft, is the Jordan Leandry school of watching home runs. But Emilio Pagan had a phenomenal year last year in Cincinnati. Became their closer. I think he hit 30 saves in 2025. And then they broke.
I think we lost him.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if I got kicked or
It was me. Yeah. It's when in doubt, it's Jordan. It's always me. But Hunter, what are your thoughts on Emilio Pagan?
Yeah, quick turnaround here from Jason. Quickly, we had talked about Derrik building up his bullpen, and clearly that was pissing off Jason because he has now made 2 straight bullpen moves. And he now has his potential closer again, like Derrik with Camille Duvall. Who knows? Maybe he has plans in the future. Maybe he doesn't have plans, but he just doesn't even want him as a closer. But he now has a legitimate closer option in Pagan. And 32 saves last year. He had 20 back in 2019. So he's been doing this for a while. Didn't really get many saves in between those years, but I won't bring that up because it doesn't fit my narrative.
He wasn't a closer really until this past season.
Yeah. But you're getting a guy who has a track record of being a pretty decent reliever, and over the last, the last season specifically, what has been arguably his best season, maybe his second best season in the majors. So that's you're getting a guy who is 34, and he'll be 35 early in the season. But we've seen relievers manage to stay productive later into their careers. And even if he's only giving you 2-3 seasons, he's someone that can kind of help right the ship at the back end of the bullpen while you build up the farm system. You do whatever you have to do to figure things out, and he can pass the torch off to a young guy in a couple seasons.
Jason, what were your thoughts in going with Emilio Pagan here?
Maybe if I knew he was in the Jordan Leandri school of giving up home runs. I mean, who said? I mean, I could ban you from going, and you'll be the best pitcher in the league. But
you could you could regionally black me out, so I can't watch the games.
No, I'll regionally and outside of region black you out too. I'll completely black you out. But in all seriousness though, Pagan best fastball splitter comp, one of the best, maybe second to Johan Duran in the league, but lethal splitter and fastball. And you combo that with a cutter too. Very, very unhittable. He had 30 saves this year, emerged as the Reds closer, helped them with their postseason push this past season or last season now. I guess we're in the tremendous 2-6 now after the big 2-5. So I'm very excited to see what he can do. The bullpen is coming together. I know I only made 2 picks, but I have a good vision, and I'm excited. I'm excited, man. This is fun. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and that's the halfway point of the first round. So just to give a little bit of a recap, I'm not going to go pick by pick here, but just to kind of give a general idea, if you just joined in, first overall pick, or the first pick for both of our GMs, Jason took Wilyer Abreu first overall, and then Derrik took Sean Murphy second overall. That was how we jump-started our draft. We have not, as far as an offense standpoint, I guess I'm being too hard on Derrik because Sean Murphy can hit. So I am being a little bit of an ass, but it's that's where we're at this point. We got the platoon outfield situation with no starters on Derrik's side, and then Jason, who heavily prioritized offense early, power from the left side early, and has now kind of rounded out his pitching staff. He's already drafted 5 pitchers in his first 8 picks, so he's very much a Craig Breslow style GM here. But I think Derrick's on the clock now, so we will move forward here. It's okay. We've got Derrick's got his pick in here. Give me a sec to get that all queued up. I am a mess again. My Wi-Fi shitting itself for 30 seconds has really thrown me. So now I have to bring myself back. But okay. So let's play the sound. And Derrick's next pick, the reliever, it is Jojo Romero of the St. Louis Cardinals. You guys really thought that he was going to draft a starter? Come on now. Jojo Romero, rental reliever, possible. I mean, a guy that the Red Sox could trade for, given how their offseason's gone of just trading for Cardinals. Jojo Romero, not somebody that Craig Breslow can trade for now. He is a member of the Utah Talons. What are your thoughts on the Romero pick, Hunter?
I mean, the bullpen's disgusting. I do think that Derrick's going to need to move on to starters very soon. But he's getting a guy who has, 3 straight really positive seasons with the Cardinals, with 2025 being far and away the best of his career. And you're getting another lefty who just makes life difficult for a lot of hitters. So he's got, I think he now has 2 lefties and 2 righties, right? Now I'm struggling to think of his team. Yeah. He's got 2 lefties and 2 righties. So he's got, 2 fairly dominant pitchers from each side now. So that gives him the ability to play matchups and really go specifically against certain teams, certain parts of their order. So just another guy to throw into the back of that bullpen and ensure late game leads aren't going to get blown.
Yeah, for sure. Derrik, what's your logic with JoJo Romero here?
It's a little bit similar to the Garrett Clevenger pick. However, it's my second lefty reliever, and I think this is another really good lefty. He had a really good year last year, Romero did, and I think that now that I have 2 lefties in my bullpen, both of whom, I can use against lefties, so I'm not forced to use if I'm in a lefty situation. I'm not forced to have to use a Doval or Helsley. I can go to JoJo Romero. So right now my bullpen, 4 pitchers total, 2 righties, 2 lefties. I like it. And Romero was good last year. And looking at the Cardinals, I will just say the only other guy on my list was Dustin May, and I don't want to touch him with the 10-foot pole.
Hey, you're the one that put him on your list.
That's because there's nothing else that I wanted. And
that's
just
because
Breslow
traded for them all?
It's just because he's a starting pitcher. Yeah, and Breslow traded for every good player they have, so the not so good players got protected.
Yeah, that's true. And the only other guy that might get traded that is probably protected is Brendan Donovan for now until he ends up eventually becoming the Red Sox second baseman. Jason, are you locking in that pick that you texted me? Okay, just making sure. All right, and with that, Jason's pick is Joe Mack, the catcher for the Miami Marlins. I believe it's the first guy that's been taken that has not debuted yet. So we're drafting from the 40-man roster here, but a guy who has not actually played a Major League Baseball game. To give a little bit of a rundown on Mack, last year across 2 minor league levels, he slashed 257, 338, 475 with 21 home runs, drove in 58, had a 120 WRC plus in AAA. Average was 250, hit 18 home runs, drove in 53 in 99 games. So since this is the first non-MLB player that's been selected, I'll throw it to you, Jason. Where are you thinking? Where are you going with the Joe Mack pick here?
Yeah, it's very hard to get a good catcher and one that could handle, one that could play some defense too. But I'm very excited for him. He had a really good year in the high minors. He's getting ready to debut. I envision him to be on the opening day roster because I'm the GM. I can decide things like that. So I think Hunter will have a lot to say about him too. But Joe Mack, definitely top 50 prospect in baseball as a catcher too. There's a lot of value to that too. And it's another lefty, but I'm very excited for him, and he was pretty high on my draft board, and he's very young too. So in an expansion draft, yes, like I said, you need veteran guys. You also need to look a little bit young too. So I like this pick a lot.
Hunter, what are your thoughts on Joe Mack?
Yeah, with catching prospects, they tend to get their offense graded at a different curve, and just because catching is such an important position where it's like decent hitting is considered really good hitting for catchers. Joe Mack's just a really good hitter for anyone. A ton of power, 24 homers in 2024, 21 in 2025. Dominated Double-A for a short stretch of time this year, and then moved up to Triple-A where he more than held his own. 18 homers in 99 games. He stole 8 bases. Really fun. That's to me, that's just a really fun pick. He's 23 years old. Obviously, like Jason said, as the GM, he gets to make the decisions, but this is someone who could realistically make an opening day roster. The Marlins aren't really in need of a catcher right now, so maybe he's not going to make their opening day roster. But you put him on a lot of teams, and he would go into spring training with at least a better than 35-40% chance to make the roster. So you're getting someone who, in theory, could be your organization's starting catcher for the next 12 plus seasons. That's a really good value right there.
90th percentile for pull air rate. So if you're surprised the Yankees aren't trying to snatch him in that Edward Cabrera deal that they're currently apparently negotiating.
Another lefty power bat, by the way.
Another lefty power bat. We're staying with the same themes here. That is very much. It's been a draft of trends thus far, and looks like Derrick's next pick is in. Just give me 1 sec to queue it up. Ooh, this is a fun one. I actually won't give you any sort of flack on this one, Derrik. I enjoy where your brain's going here with this one. All right, give me a sec to pull the stream back up, and we've got Ronnie Mauricio, third baseman of the New York Mets, now going to Derrick's team. Mauricio really hasn't gotten an opportunity with the Mets. I mean, he's gotten some looks, but he hasn't gotten like a real true opportunity to be a big leaguer. 61 games last year, had an 88 WRC plus and just 6 home runs. But he's been kind of a part-time player as a big leaguer. Derrik texted me not switch hitting, so I'll throw it to you. Is he a full-time lefty? Where are we going here?
Going to be full-time lefty. Mauricio, 146 plate appearances last year as a left-handed hitter. Still struck out a lot, 27% strikeout rate, but 265, 336, 447 for 121 weighted runs created plus. 6 home runs were hit left-handed versus as a right-handed hitter last year. 083, 132, 083, negative 38 weighted runs created plus, no home runs. Only one of his career home runs have came as a right-handed hitter, whereas he's got 7 in the big leagues as a left-handed hitter. So the numbers point to him being a better left-handed hitter, and I'm going to see a little bit Cedric Mullins-esque in terms of stopping the switch hitting, having him only hit left-handed. And he was shockingly good defensively at third base last year, which is something I was very shocked to see when I looked at his numbers. It's not a lock he's going to play third base, but he's a viable option as of right now.
And he's kind of a model darling. He's got a blood red prospect savant page. So he it's for some it's kind of more of a matter of when, pop. Not if for him.
There's some pop there.
He doesn't pull the ball in the air a ton. He was only 54th percentile among AAA bats in pull air rate, but 95th percentile for 90th percentile exit velocity, barrel rate 91st percentile, strikeout rate 89th percentile, 99th percentile expected weighted on base average. Now, granted, he only got, looks like, about 40 plate appearances in 2025 in AAA because he was with the big league team for a lot of the season. But just kind of goes to show the tools for Ronnie Mauricio. What are your thoughts on the Mauricio pick, Hunter?
Bias. This is one of my favorite picks of the draft. I've been in love with Ronnie Mauricio for years. So I'm a huge fan of this pick. I think that there's a ridiculous amount of upside with him, and he could very easily become a genuine top of the order type bat for Derrick's team in 2 seasons. So very much a hit or miss pick. Like we've seen Mauricio struggle a little bit at the major league level over the last 2-3 seasons. So this could be someone who that's just who he is, but he's also still very young. So it also wouldn't shock me if he becomes the hitter that everyone was expecting when he was one of the top prospects in baseball. So this is a guy who in 2 years, Derrick's team could be trying to cut ties with, or they could be already trying to figure out a way to lock him down for, on a Roman Anthony type contract and keep him in the middle of their order for the next 15 years.
Yeah, he's kind of like just the raw tools that he's got. Like, he hits the daylights out of the baseball, and that's something that's super exciting for any young player. And he doesn't strike. I mean, he struck out a lot as a big leaguer. Hopefully can cut down that rate a little bit, but I guess it's kind of a byproduct of hitting the ball so hard is you're going to miss a lot because you're constantly getting your A swing off. But we'll see how he continues to develop at the big league level. And I guess one thing worth noting, we haven't fully ironed out how we're going to decide over the course of 162 who the winner is of this draft. It sounded like we were kind of leaning towards just raw accumulation of WAR, or running it through like an MLB The Show sim and seeing how that goes,
or both.
Por que no los dos. And we'll see kind of who ends up winning it from there. But looks like the next pick is in for Jason, and that is Sean Armstrong of the Cleveland Guardians. This is actually how I learned that he is a Cleveland Guardian. I had him on my list of Red Sox free agent targets this offseason. I completely missed him signing with Cleveland, but that's a very good bullpen addition there for Jason, whose pen is really starting to, like, his pitching staff is almost like completely buttoned up. Like, he's already drafted how many pitchers now? I think 6 arms in his first 9 picks, or 5 arms in his first 9 picks. He's been going pitcher heavy. He's been very Breslow pilled today. What are your initial thoughts on the Sean Armstrong selection, Hunter? You are still muted, sir. You are muted.
You're
there
right.
We go.
I unmuted the wrong thing. I even hit it and it muted, and then I was like, oh, I muted myself, and I unhit it. That was foolish. Yeah, we're getting a lot better. I guess it shouldn't surprise me that there's this many like good relievers available, just because in an expansion draft, relievers, barring like just being the elite of the elite, are not going to get protected nearly as often. Like, teams are going to focus on their star hitters, their top of the rotation arms, some of their top prospects. So I guess it shouldn't surprise me that there's going to be a lot of really good relievers that slip through the cracks. But at this point, they've both built really strong bullpens. And Armstrong's just a guy who, he threw 74 innings out of the bullpen last year. He appeared in 71 games. That's ridiculous. So he's absolutely a workhorse who you can turn to multiple times a week, which is a very underrated part of a lot of relievers. I think that's such a big reason Red Sox fans fell in love with. Now I feel like I shouldn't say his name because I'm pretty sure he's available in this draft, but we talked about him before, so it doesn't matter. That's a big reason why Red Sox fans fell in love with Brennan Bernardino, because it seemed like he was going out there 3-4 times a week. And that's something that Sean Armstrong can do for you, and he can do it at a high level and continue like that. There really isn't this like massive drop off of like, oh, well, he pitched a lot, so the things went downhill. Like, no, he was phenomenal from start to finish last year.
I'm starting to think that Derrik is pulling my leg here with these picks, because I've got his next one queued up, and I enjoy the pick.
I'm excited.
I promise I'm not.
I enjoy where you're going here.
This is the guy. When I was starting to look at this team, as soon as I saw him, I've been zeroed in on him, and I don't want to risk not taking him. So, and this is the guy I've been high on in years past before he was even traded to this team.
With that, it is Prelander Baroa of the Chicago White Sox. You guys guessed it. Another reliever going to Derrik. which is why I said he is pulling my leg with these picks, because we are now 10 picks in and Derrik has 0 starting pitchers.
Yeah, but I got 5 relievers.
You do. You definitely have, like, you got to get your bullpen squared away in some capacity, like at some point over the course of these 25 picks. It's just so funny that we're again going into now pick 21 and you still have 0 starters. But I do like Prelander Baroa a lot. I actually had him as a potential trade target for the Red Sox going into last year. again, velo off the charts. Average fastball velocity last year of 97.7 miles an hour. 3.32 was his ERA. Tons of strikeouts, tons of walks. We're talking kind of like a Darwinson Hernandez-esque arm here, where the stuff is there. He strikes out the world. Also will walk the ballpark if you let him. But we'll see kind of which way the dam breaks in his favor or against him going forward. But, I personally really like the Prelander Baroa pick. I'm assuming you're not going to stretch him out as a starter. He did make 26 starts in the minor leagues in 2022. So that's why I posed the question. Not starting. Good to know.
This guy throws fireballs. I want him in the bullpen.
That's more than fair. More than fair. So what are your thoughts on the Prelander Baroa pick? Hunter.
I'm on this time, right? Yeah, okay, we're good.
Yeah, you're good.
Not as much to say just because didn't pitch last season. Only has now I don't have the number up. What, 20 something innings in the majors, right?
20
and 2/3 innings in the majors. Absolutely has disgusting stuff, but this is very much a what are you going to get from him post injury. So it's something I feel like I've said with a couple of people of like the pendulum could swing either way, but this feels especially true for him considering he really hasn't gotten to make much of a mark in the majors yet, and now he's coming back off injury. Definitely a really exciting arm, really fun. Could be disgusting. Could be a closer for Derrik in a couple seasons if he wants to move on from Duvall. But yeah, a fun, exciting pick. I'm gonna beg him to take a starter with his next one though.
Yeah, it's like I said, I'm starting to think he's pulling my leg here. It's like there was a fantasy draft or fantasy league I was in this year where I didn't draft a starter until like round 19, and then I drafted all Japanese starters for like the next 5 rounds. But we'll see where we go. I mean, again, like very talented, and I did misspeak when I say last year he had a 3.32. It was 2024 where his ERA was 3.32. But he is
all of last year.
Yeah, missed the entire 2025 season with an elbow injury. Controlled through the 2031 season, and he is just 25 years old. He'll be 26 on the 18th of April. Somebody that could give you multiple innings of relief, probably more along the lines of a low leverage, maybe some medium leverage. Think like Jorge Alcala before Jorge Alcala was terrible for the Red Sox. Like kind of that role.
Except Baroa is actually young.
Except Baroa is young. Yeah, that is correct. But yeah. And then hang on one sec. Jason has given me his next pick. I guess we can still announce it. The graphic isn't in there yet for him, but I'll run it so we can actually talk about it a little bit. Just give me one sec to get the banner ready. And this is actually going to be, looks like the first pick that Derrik makes that is very defensive centric.
I mean, Jason.
Which is Jason.
Oh my God, I've done it again. I'm not good at multitasking, as you guys have figured out. My bad here. But Jason's next pick, Miles Straw of the Toronto Blue Jays. Interesting direction here from the Blue Jays standpoint, and I won't get into like where my brain went, but we talked about the Blue Jays a little bit yesterday while we were kind of figuring out how we were going to present this. But yeah, very defensive-minded outfielder. Not a whole lot of pop, not a whole lot of offense in general, but a guy that you hit it to him, it's going to get caught, and that is something that Jason has a lot of in the outfield. Derrik does too, but Jason now with Miles Straw patrolling center and Willie Abreu in right. Hunter, what are your thoughts on the Miles Straw pick?
Yeah, he's a very Derrik type pick where offense is questionable, but you're getting just such phenomenal defense and there's some things offensively that he's going to give you. He's not going to strike out, which is huge. He can steal some bases. He had 30 steals back in 2021. He has 2 other seasons of 20 plus steals. And last year it was a very good bounce back year for him. He struggled a little bit in 2023 and then only played in 7 games in 2024. And then last year, 262, 313, 367 in 137 games. His first year with the Blue Jays, obviously he gets all that. He gets that experience of the playoff run. So he's bringing a lot to the table. He's also not old, but he's not young either. Like he's not. You're going to get a couple more good seasons from him. So it's not like you're getting a 37-year-old. You're getting someone who's still going to give you 3, 4, maybe even 5 really solid seasons. But he's also a good veteran presence for some of the younger guys in the clubhouse.
Yeah, last year 91 WRC plus is actually his best since 2021. Again, defense is his calling card. Again, patrolling the outfield with Willie Abreu. It's almost like he loses the benefit of playing next to Cedar Rafaela, but he gets Miles Straw, which is not a horrible consolation prize in this world. Is that kind of what you're going for there, Jason, with that pick?
Yeah, I mean, if you have a good defensive center fielder, it completely changes your game. And like Miles Straw is one of the best, if not the best. Well, actually, Cedon's the best, but he's one of the best defensive center fielders in the game. And the bat is kind of secondary. And you're getting a guy who can really, really, really catch the ball, and he's fast, and that's the biggest thing about him. And Hunter said it too, like big bounce back year. I'm excited to see what he can do. But yeah, the outfield's very defensive heavy too.
That it is, and then that brings us on to Derrick's next pick, which is Gavin Sheets of the San Diego Padres. I noticed that you amended my initial banner of just first base and gave him the first base left field designation, Derrik. Where are we expecting him to play mostly first? Where are we thinking of putting him?
As of right now, I would assume primarily first base, but that does not mean he won't get games in left. And it's got a little bit of versatility as well. So with that, I guess it kind of leaves my options open. If I want to take a first baseman, I can. If I want to keep him at first, I can. If I want to kind of mix them back and forth, I can also do that as well. It just leaves me open. And also, too, Gavin Sheets had a very good year last year in a ballpark that is pitcher-friendly, might I add. Utah, I don't actually know what it is above sea level, but I think it's relatively above sea level. It's not Colorado, but I'm assuming it's a little bit over sea level. I might be pulling that out of my ass.
That's fine. We won't fact check you.
I'm looking.
Owner of a team doesn't know the elevation.
Sorry, GM, not owner. 4,226 feet above sea level. So not Denver, but close, right? Hoping the ball is going to fly off of Sheets' bat. Yes,
it's the 3/4 mile high club.
I will say, could it be an issue for my pitchers? Yes, but this is why I'm grabbing as many good relievers, because maybe, as we've seen with the Rockies, they don't all work, but some of them do, right? So in that sense, that's also part of the reason I've been targeting some of the relievers I have been. Because God knows the Rockies don't have any good starting pitchers ever. And I think part of that might be due to the elevation. So,
yeah, it's not like they've never had good starters. They just don't have good seasons. They just don't have good seasons. Like Kyle Freeland had a good year a few years back, and his reward for being a good pitcher for the Rockies is he's actually been stuck there his entire major league career with no end in sight. What are your thoughts on the? Sorry, I see you're about to take a sip of something, Hunter.
Nope,
I will. Okay. I can continue if you were about to.
Nope, I'm good.
Okay, give your thoughts on the Gavin Sheets pick.
Really good offensive player, 20 plus home run potential, gets a lot of doubles, drove in 71 runs last year, which was a career high. Kind of exactly what Derrick's offense needed, was just a guy that you can stick in the middle of the order and trust that he's going to produce. You're not kind of playing the potential, the what if game with him. It's just like, hey, he's going to give us really solid offensive numbers. So this was Derrik absolutely addressing a need.
For sure. Getting some pop, adding some runs to his lineup. Still does not have a starting pitcher. I will remind everybody we're 11 picks in, no starters.
There's still time for it.
For Derrik.
I got 15 picks left.
Still has 10 more or 15 more picks. No, you have 14 more because that was your
14.
Pick.
Oh, you said
14. 11. Whatever.
I was 15. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I'm doing my math wrong. I'm thinking 26. I have 15 spots on my roster left.
That is true. Oh, that's true. That is true. Didn't even think about starting pitching being an option in the free agent market. My mind immediately went to bats when we were talking about free agents. So that is a very good point. That is a very good point. And with that, we've got Jason's next pick, which is left-handed pitcher Gabe Spire of the Seattle Mariners, who had a very, very good year last year for the Mariners. And then his manager decided that he should pitch every single game in the playoffs. And that was a lot less effective of a strategy in October, but still had a very good year nonetheless. He had a 2.61 ERA, 11.9 Ks per nine. A nice bounce back from 2024, where he kind of had the opposite end of the volatility spectrum that is the reality for relievers, where he had a 5.70 ERA, but peripherals were very good in 2024. Has pivoted away from the ground ball heavy profile of his 2023 and before, kind of arc. And now he is much more strikeout dominant with some ground ball potential, but again, more in line with getting punch outs nowadays. So we get a lefty into Jason's pen, which I think that's his first lefty arm in general. No, he got Jacob Lopez with his with the 11th pick. So his second lefty, but his first that's going into the bullpen. What is your initial reaction to the Spire pick, Hunter?
You mentioned manager was throwing him into every postseason game. He kind of did that in the regular season too. He appeared in 76 games through 62 innings. So it's not like he was going out there and tossing 4 innings a game or anything, but as close to a specialist as you could get in today's league, I guess, because you can't go out there just for one more out anymore unless it's to end an inning, or for one more batter, I should say, unless it's to end an inning. But yeah, really good stuff. Phenomenal numbers last year. Still, for the most part, good numbers. He had 2024 was a struggle, but outside of that, he's been really good. And I don't know if you mentioned this and I wasn't paying attention, but an important part of his lore is that he was drafted by the Red Sox in 2013.
I did not mention that.
No.
So
okay.
Good shout. How did he end up in Kansas City? Because that's where he debuted in 19. Was he Rule 5'd out?
I don't think so.
No, because he only made 9 appearances in 20.
Yeah, I was going to say he was drafted in 2013, 19th round. And then I don't remember him at all in the Red Sox minor league system.
Yeah, I see that spelling of his last name, and I just think Alex Spear, and that's just kind of it. That's kind of where my brain goes. So, Jason, your thoughts on your own pick here with Gabe Spire?
Yeah, he was thrown into the fire. Literally 76 games, 62 innings pitched. So I don't know how he still has an arm, but he has one of the best fastballs in the game too. Really intriguing numbers. Going to strike out a lot of guys. Had 82 strikeouts as a relief pitcher, which is pretty good. But yeah, I'm excited to see what he can do for my team. And it's my second lefty pitcher in general. But solid pitching staff so far. I'm excited where I'm at now, and I'm looking forward to seeing what I can do later.
Stocking up on arms, whereas and you've kind of had a nice healthy balance of relievers and starters. And that brings us to Derrik's next pick here. which is Kyle Higashioka of the Texas Rangers. He is now by getting selected here in this expansion draft. Sorry, he's on his 4th team in the last 4 years, so he's been around a bit now, but he's a guy who's defensive minded but has a ton of pop. So he's kind of like Austin Hedges if Austin Hedges actually hit for power instead of just exists in the batter's box. So I'm big fan of Kyle Higashioka. Big fan of this pick. Again, leaning more towards the defensive side, but does have some power, which is much needed in Derrick's lineup. Hunter, your thoughts on Kyle Higashioka?
Yeah, I'm with you. I've always been a fan of his. I was very happy when he left the Yankees organization because it was one of those things where you were fighting with your own feelings of hearing Yankees fans act like he would hit 45 home runs if he played a full season, but also wanting to be like, no, he is genuinely good, but you guys are for whatever reason acting like he is the greatest hitter of all time. But yeah, a phenomenal defensive catcher who, like you said, actually does have legitimate pop. I feel like that's something with a lot of defensive catchers you'll hear like, oh, in theory they can hit some home runs, and most of them finish the year with like a 302 slugging percentage. He actually has power. So yeah, he's someone, he'll be a good platoon with Sean Murphy and or a good backup, I should say. I'm assuming Sean Murphy will get a majority of the starts back there, but he also makes it so if Sean Murphy's hot, you can give Sean Murphy a rest by DHing him some days, and you're not losing much defensively with Higgy back there.
For sure. Explain your pick, Derrik.
Yeah, actually, I was originally I was looking at getting 2 of 3 catchers, and obviously with Sean Murphy being my go-to choice, I knew I wanted Higashioka or someone else to be my backup, but I can't pick the other person because someone from his team has already been picked. So I figured I might as well. No one's been picked from the Rangers, and we're getting to that point in the round here. This is the point of an expansion draft where your pickings get really, really slim, especially because there's only so many teams available to pick from. So in that sense, nabbing Higashioka was, I don't know if I'd say best available in terms of what I was looking for, and locking up my catcher position means I don't have to go catcher in the second round.
Yeah, for sure. You definitely, it's a position that's not necessarily super strong to begin with in baseball. And like Hunter mentioned this when you took Sean Murphy, it's like the catching, like if you have a good catcher, you don't want to expose them. Like if we're talking specifically just from a Red Sox standpoint, we're protecting their top 12 players. Is Carlos Narvaez a top 12 player in a vacuum on the Red Sox? Probably not, but he's a very good everyday catcher. So from a value standpoint, yes, very much you do not want to lose him, especially when your alternative then is Connor Wong. So not to throw shade at Connor Wong, but definitely worse than Carlos Narvaez. And I say that as a Connor Wong truther. That's my guy. I made it was somewhat of a bit last year, but unfortunately, maybe this year he'll hit a home run though. So who knows? And with that, it looks like Jason's next pick is in, and that is Jake McCarthy of the Arizona Diamondbacks. McCarthy kind of forgot he was there, if we're being honest. Like it's like Corbin Carroll's team. Obviously, they had Lourdes Gurriel Jr., who missed most of last year after his leg exploded. But Alec Thomas has been their center fielder. The talk about them adding to their team, but Jake McCarthy still been there, steals a lot of bases, super fast, super annoying to face. Was a fun player to watch in my 1 year of like kind of covering the Diamondbacks. I say that when I say kind of, I was an intern that covered them at times. So yes, but yeah, I'm a big fan of Jake McCarthy. it'll be cool to see him get an opportunity somewhere where he can actually kind of play every day and not have to look over his shoulder all the time. And in this expansion draft world, he is going to be afforded that opportunity. And what are your thoughts on your own pick there, Jason?
Yeah, one of those like eye test guys, like, some of the metrics might not like check out, but a pain in the butt to face. He's fast, didn't get that many opportunities, but in the new team where he's not, getting blocked by a Corbin Carroll, provides solid defense too. Has some pop, not a ton, but it's a pick that I like a lot, and just watch the guy. He's very fun to watch, and I'm excited he might be a superstar on the Bandits coming up.
It's 2 years with at least 90 or at least 350 plate appearances. He had a 116 WRC plus in 2022 and a 110 in 2024. So when he plays, he typically plays pretty well. He's definitely a solid player. Hunter, what are your thoughts on Jake McCarthy?
Yeah, I think you said it really well with just him kind of being like a forgotten guy there. The overall numbers last year, not great, 204, 247, 345 slash line, but he got optioned in April, which is crazy considering how good of a year he had the year prior. 285 batting average, 749 OPS, 25 steals, good defense. So it really was kind of just a case of they didn't have a spot for him at that point anymore. And that kind of, then he gets called back up in June, and then you're not playing every day. And a lot of that stuff kind of really can get a hitter out of their groove. So it's not surprising that the numbers weren't good last year, but he is someone that has shown he can produce offensively, and he can get you like 3 straight steals or 3 straight seasons with 20 plus steals prior to 2025. Always 2 seasons of 280 or above batting average. He hits for a semi decent amount of power, a career high of 8 homers, but like he gets some triples, he gets a couple doubles. So he brings some versatility offensively. And yeah, just someone who is underrated because of the situation he's in. And I think if there was an expansion draft and he got taken and he got to be an everyday player for a team, I think he would put up really solid numbers.
Where are you thinking he would play for your team, Jason? Because you have Miles Straw, obviously you have Willier, so he's not going to play right field. Where are you thinking McCarthy would sit from an outfield standpoint?
Potentially left field. I haven't decided yet. Maybe a platoon in center, but there's still a lot of draft, and we still got to figure a lot out.
That's a very political answer from you. There's still a lot. It was very Craig Breslow of you. Still a lot of time left to decide where we're going. I do like Jake McCarthy though. He was a lot of fun. I thought he would be somebody that they tried to sell high on after that 2022 season when it was pretty clear, like, because that was when Alec Thomas had also just come up and he was a top prospect, and it was like they were kind of the Dollar Tree version of the Red Sox, where the Red Sox had their big 3. The D-backs had theirs with Corbin Carroll, Alec Thomas, and McCarthy wasn't really like a big prospect, but he was, another young outfielder that they had. And then Corbin Carroll is the only one of those 3 that actually ended up being good and playing every single day, which is crazy to me. McCarthy out of options as well. So he's somebody that has to stick on your team or he's out of there entirely. So, we're in the final 5 picks of the first round, and Derrik still has no starting pitching. Is this the round where he takes a starter? I don't know. He has not told me who he's picking. So I'm like eagerly staring at my phone, waiting for the.
Felt like you were setting up for something there.
Yeah, I was like hoping maybe it would pop up on my screen as I was talking, but no, still no starting pitching yet. Be cool to see where his mind's going with the rotation. Because reminder, he can only take 1 free agent, so like he has to address the rotation at some point. So will it be this round? We shall see.
And what round are we on?
It's only 2 rounds, but as far as like the picks, this is
Yeah.
the 13th pick for Derrik here. And then each of the 2 have their final 2 picks of the first round, and then we'll settle for a few minutes and then take care of round 2. Which, yeah, I don't know. It's oh, the pick is in. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. He has done it. He has done it. The impossible has happened. He has taken a starting pitcher. And it's kind of rude because this team hadn't really signed anybody this offseason. And they just finally did. And they immediately lose him. Tyler Mahle goes to Derrik with his 13th pick, first starter taken by Derrik in this draft. And I'm gonna throw it right to you, Derrik. Why Tyler Mahle? What do you like about him that made him your first starting pitcher taken?
I mean, this is a guy, if you look back in his career, this is a guy who had sub-4 ERAs with the Reds in Great American Small Park. Has struggled with injuries recently, but in the 86 and 2/3 innings he pitched last year, 2.18 ERA, 3.37 FIP. Health is a question mark with him. Don't get me wrong. It definitely is. Like, I won't hide that fact. But 4-seam splitter, cutter, slider, 4-pitch mix, very 4-seam heavy, but it is a very good 4-seamer, albeit not that hard. There are a little bit underlying number concerns if you really dig into the Baseball Savant page. But he performed, right? And I think at the end of the day, you got to perform, and we do need starters. And I've always been high on Tyler Mahle, and he's been the kind of guy, as I formatted the damn thing wrong. That's nice. There we go. That's how we're formatting it. But no, Mahle definitely middle of the rotation arm. The Giants protected a couple younger pitchers, which leaving Mahle available for me, I will gladly take Tyler Mahle on my team.
For sure. I like Tyler Mahle. He's a solid arm. Hunter, what are your thoughts on that pick?
It finally happened. It's a big moment for us. Yeah, that's a very solid pickup. He had a really strong year last year. Health concerns, he's barely topped 100 innings total in the last 3 seasons combined. But we've seen him have really strong seasons in the past, and him, a 2.18 ERA and 86 and 2/3 innings after only throwing, 38 and a third innings combined over the last 2 seasons. I think that's a really positive thing to build off of, because for him to be able to come back after barely pitching the last few seasons, and 86 and 2/3 innings isn't a ton, but it was still enough to feel comfortable about the numbers that he put up and feel like it's not like, that's not just like, oh, he had 3 good starts and we're gonna pretend like everything's good. Like, no, he made 16 starts last year. A good first arm for Derrik's rotation, especially you don't need, with the bullpen that he's built up, he doesn't need his starters to all be guys who are going to give him 7 or 8 innings. If his guys can get him through 5 innings, he'll be fine.
Yeah, definitely has the bullpen to withstand 5 and dive guys. That's what Tyler Mahle was last season. The K's were down, but I think for him, it was more a matter of surviving the season. I mean, he still didn't, but like he is having a normal off season. He's going to, well, in reality, he will be a San Francisco Giant in a very nice ballpark for him as somebody who doesn't get a ton of ground balls. Being in a big outfield will help. But yeah, you can't really argue against a 2.18 ERA as a starter for 16 starts. Like I love a good use of FIP as much as the next guy, but sometimes when we're talking about starting pitcher, ERA matters a whole lot, and I think sometimes people will forget that. It's like, at the end of the day, it adds up. Over like who you are over 32 starts is generally who you are. Like a guy who, like the thing that. Not to go on a rant here, but like the big thing for Yankees fans for a couple years was how unlucky Ben Rice was all the time. And it's like, well, over 90 plus games, like you can't, like, maybe projecting him out is a little bit easier to be like, oh, he got unlucky, but like, sometimes it's the sum of your parts over 162, and sometimes people will forget that. And it looks like Jason's pick is in. Give me 1 sec to cue it up. Get the banner on the screen. Get the sound effect going. And did I do it again? Did I say Derrik and not Jason? Oh, I didn't. Okay. I'm so self-conscious of it now. Jason's next pick is Brad Keller of the Philadelphia Phillies. Honestly, curious to see, and so I'll ask you right away, are you thinking Brad Keller as a reliever, or are you going to put him back in the rotation? Because I know that was another thing about his market, was teams were looking at him as a starter.
Reliever. He was filthy. He was filthy this year. He had a 2.07 ERA and a whip below 1 in 69 2/3 innings pitched. Like I don't know. Genuinely, like, I don't know what the Cubs did, but like they did something, clearly something right, and they fixed him. Like there's a whole lot to like about him. They figured out a good fastball and slider with him. Someone who you can trust, even in the down the stretch. It's like this guy's kind of trustworthy in the back end of your rotation, man. I'm very excited to see what he can do. And I know I keep saying the same things, but like it's true. From a guy who played almost 15 games with the Red Sox to coming to his age 30 season doing this is insane. And he's such a good player now for whatever reason.
Made me pretty mad.
It was such a Dombrowski signing. Not anymore.
Yeah, not anymore. He's gone. His fastball added 3 miles an hour on average velocity, by the way. So just to, piss people off a little bit more. Mostly me. It made me so angry when I was writing him up this offseason. I'm like, oh, he added 3 ticks to his heater. No, I'm not talking 0.3. 3 full miles an hour. Asshole. Hunter, what are your thoughts on that pick?
Yeah, surprising season from him last year. Relief pitching in general is one of the most volatile thing in all of sports. You will see pitchers look elite for a couple seasons and then be just bottom of the barrel trash, and then be good the next. Look what happened to Devin Williams this year. And would it really shock anyone if he ended up being fantastic then this year? So there is that fear with Brad Keller of, was this just like a 1-year weird anomaly where maybe the Cubs tweaked a little something and it worked, and now he's going to go somewhere else and things aren't going to work out well for him. He is one of the guys who I've seen a decent amount of Red Sox fans act like they were upset when the Red Sox got rid of him in 2024. And that narrative's always very funny to me, just because he was bad. Let's stop pretending like he was good for the Red Sox. But whatever the Cubs figured out with him last year clearly worked. Can the Phillies continue that trend? Who knows? And who knows if it was sustainable with the Cubs. Sometimes you just get lucky even with the hitters that you get to go up against in a game. Yeah. Maybe I don't have any stat in front of me. I'm not going to pretend like I do, but maybe he was continuously getting the 7, 8, 9s of orders in a lot of games, and it was just working out really well for him. But I mean, also, like you mentioned, he did add 3 ticks to his velocity. Again, is that sustainable?
What a dick.
We'll find out. But
so mean.
But in a vacuum, it's a really good pick, because this is a guy who just had easily the best season of his career. He appeared in 68 games, 67 of them as a reliever. He has started in the past. So if Jason did need a starter at some point in the season, he's someone he could turn to. So yeah, he gives you good versatility. He can give you a dominant 1 inning, or he could give you a couple safe innings. And in a pinch, he could be a starter for you. So that's a good versatile pick.
For sure. And I don't want to get too emotional talking about Brad Keller. I've already called him an asshole twice for having the audacity to add velo after.
How dare he get better?
How dare he improve on his career? But Derrik's next pick is none other than Jacob Young of the Washington Nationals, center fielder over there. I am in dire need of water. I will kick it to Hunter. To give your thoughts on his pick?
Just another outfielder for Derrik. I'm assuming. Why can't I think of who it was now? Sheets is going to play first base for you? Question mark. Or I guess you did say you
as
had
of now that's the plan.
Yeah, you did have the potential to platoon as well. But intriguing bat. Not a ton of power. He has 5 home runs in 1,006 plate appearances in the majors. But he gives you a ton of speed. He had 33 steals back in 2024 with the Nationals. Little bit of a down year this year as opposed to last year, but still gives you something offensively, like sub 600 OPS. Not positive, but he was hovering around 650 the 2 years before that. And for him, it's more about the speed. If he can figure out a way to get on base, a sub 300 on base percentage last year isn't going to cut it. But he gives you speed. He gives you defense. And it feels like there's still something with him offensively. Like it feels like there is something that can be unlocked to get him to a better place offensively. He's never going to be, Juan Soto with the bat, but if you can get him to even be like a 320, 330 OPS guy or OBP guy, all of a sudden you could see him being, 40 plus steals, which makes everyone on your offense that much more dangerous, because now you have a guy on base who is in scoring position from first base and also probably isn't going to be at first base for very long. So fun. That's a fun pick. You're getting not much offensively, but you're getting speed, which the one thing that doesn't slump in baseball is always going to be speed. So,
and arguably
so
defense
he's
as well.
always bringing that with you.
And arguably defense as well. So, I mean,
also
too, like potential pinch runner as well. Not saying this is a postseason team, but like you never know. And teams that get into the postseason, I mean, you need a guy, who can run, even if it's not to steal a base, even if it's to stretch something from first to third, first to home, second to home, right? Score on a sac fly, as Nate Eaton should have.
We're still mad about that.
Colton Cowser's got a cannon. So what, man? I love Alex Cora, but that was like the lamest excuse. It's like, we decided that we wouldn't run because Colton Cowser has a cannon. Just say you weren't comfortable. Just say you were a pussy.
I think he was. I think he did.
Just say it. But just say it.
I think he did say that. Jacob Young, so far his major league career has not been anything like super special. I mean, 2024, he was decent against left-handed pitching. Had an OPS of 691, hit 283 against them. Obviously super fast, obviously good speed, or I said that, good outfielder as well. So, I mean, at some point you're going to have to draft bench guys as well. So like Jacob Young, 4th outfielder, pinch runner, as Derrik said, somebody who could factor in late in games and win games that way, and then give you a handful of starts here or there. But with that, we go to Jason's next pick, which warms my heart. It is Brendan Bernardino of the Colorado Rockies. Thank you for saving my goat from the Rockies, because he deserves better than that. He deserves so much better than the Colorado Rockies organization. And we'll throw Derrik back into the draft position. So that's actually the last pick of the first round for Jason here. So why the Brennan Bernardino selection there, Jason?
Well, first off, he's our Lord and Savior, Brennan Bernardino.
Yes.
2, let's save him from Colorado. 3, if you don't pitch his arm off, he's a good pitcher. If he still has his UCL intact, he's a good pitcher. If you don't overuse him, he's a good pitcher. I mean, as Sox fans, as Sox fans, we saw how good he was at times. We also saw 4 out of 5 days he's pitching, and then he's just out there getting left to die. And it's why? Come on, be better with your team. And I just think Bernardino, I think he'll benefit with the right usage. And someone had to be selected from the Rockies too. So
yeah, that is true. And you actually have 2 guys now on your team that pitch all the time. So it'll be nice for both of them to get, maybe a day or 2 off here or there over the course of 162. I mean, they both pitched a ton, so they can just pitch on days that the other guy doesn't. With Gabe Spire and Brennan Bernardino on the same roster. Hunter, what are your thoughts on the Bernie pick?
Absolutely love it. As you've both mentioned at this point, it's something I brought up with Spire, I believe it was, how like Bernardino, he seemed to get thrown in there as often as possible. He was someone that there were weeks where he genuinely was appearing in 4 games. So we know he can do that. It's better when he doesn't. The numbers are just glaringly obvious that it's better to basically for any reliever to not have them throw every other game. But he over the last couple seasons, there is a reason Red Sox fans loved him so much, because he continued to be getting thrown in there so often and produced almost all the time. And the Red Sox really jerked him around for a while. I mean, he started last year in the minor leagues, despite the fact that he didn't really deserve that, but it was just kind of a case of he had options. And then this year he was just phenomenal for them basically all the way through. So yeah, it hurt to see him go. So I'm glad that he is back with one of them.
Saved from hell. He is saved from hell. He had a 3.14 ERA last year. Big improvement from the 4.06 it was in 2024. Was also really good in 2023, where he had really endeared himself to Red Sox fans after being a waiver wire pickup from Seattle. So he goes from a team that religiously beats the crap out of their relievers to a team that religiously beats the crap out of their relievers to then the Rockies, who beats the crap out of every single pitcher known to man. And then now to Nashville, and we'll see how Jason's manager treats him. So we'll see if the treatment's any better for Bernie over there. So with the last pick of the first round, Derrik selects Chase Silseth of the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Now, this is a guy who has started games in the past, but I see on the graphic he is listed as a reliever for Derrik, so I'm not even going to bother asking him if he's going to put him in the rotation. I know the answer to the question. Swingman? Okay.
Could be a swingman.
Sure. So what are your thoughts? What is your reaction to that pick for yourself, Derrik?
Well, I'm not gonna lie. My only other option I had written down for the Angels was Robert Stevenson. He's making $11 million a year and has barely pitched in the last 3 years. So, and I did want I wanted a guy in the bullpen that could operate as kind of like a swingman, could be a bulk guy if needed. And the bullpen, I like that. I miss the old-fashioned long reliever. So, not saying Silseth will be that, but I could see him throwing 100 innings in 30 appearances, maybe 30 to 40 appearances, right? I could see that. So I'll take it. I'm happy with that pick. I feel like it was kind of the best option that I had there. The Angels don't have a ton. It's the same thing with the Rockies, right? There's not a ton there. So I feel like with the options I had, I'm happy with the Silseth pick.
What are your thoughts on the pick, Hunter?
Yeah, like Derrik said, there's just not a ton to choose from a couple of these teams, and the Angels are 100% one of those teams. But Silseth does have good upside. He's still young. He's started games. He's been a reliever. Obviously, very small sample size last year, just 10 games, 11 innings, but looked phenomenal out of the bullpen for the Angels in that small stretch. So it feels like a good high upside pick and someone who, like Derrik said, could be a swingman for his team. He could make 25 appearances out of the bullpen and make 10 starts and really help the team when there's the inevitable injuries to the pitching staff, just because every team is going to have to deal with them. And when they come, you need people like Silseth who you could turn into a starter for a stretch of time.